You're not lazy, you're mentally exhausted. There is something many people are quietly struggling with. But they don't have the words for it. They wake up tired. Not just physically, but mentally. Their body is there, but their mind feels heavy. Simple tasks begin to feel difficult. Things that once felt easy now feel like effort. You sit down to work, but you can't focus. You try to start something important, but you hesitate. You open your phone for just a minute, and suddenly, an hour is gone. And at the end of it all, a thought begins to form. I'm lazy. You see other people being consistent, disciplined, focused, and you start comparing. Why can they do it? And I can't? Why do I keep procrastinating? Why does everything feel so hard? And slowly, you begin to believe something that isn't true. That you are the problem. That you lack discipline. That you lack motivation. That you are simply not trying hard enough. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if the problem is not laziness? What if the real issue is something deeper, something quieter, something far more common than people realize? Mental exhaustion. Not the kind of tiredness that sleep fixes, but the kind that builds slowly, over time, inside your mind. The kind you don't notice immediately, because it doesn't hit all at once. It accumulates. Through your days. Through your habits. Through the way you live your life. And by the time you feel it, it already has a hold on you. Most people never recognize this. They only see the result. The lack of focus. The lack of energy. The lack of motivation. And they call it laziness. But if you look closer, something doesn't add up. Because you are not lazy in every part of your life. There are things you care about. Things you enjoy. Things you can give your energy to. Moments where you are engaged. Moments where you are present. So the issue is not that you cannot act. It is that you cannot sustain that action. Across everything. And that is a very different problem. Laziness says, I don't want to do this. But mental exhaustion says, I want to, but I don't have the energy. That difference is everything. Because one requires discipline, and the other requires recovery. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus believed that before trying to change anything, you must first understand it clearly. Because if you misunderstand the problem, you will apply the wrong solution. And that is exactly what many people do. They feel exhausted. But they try to fix it with pressure. They push harder. They force themselves. They demand more. And for a short time, it might work. But eventually, they burn out. Even more than before. Because they were not fixing the problem. They were ignoring it. Now look at your life for a moment. Think about how your days are structured. From the moment you wake up, your mind is engaged. Notifications, messages, information, noise. You check your phone. You respond to things. You start consuming content. And before your day has even truly begun, your mind is already working, already processing, already thinking. There is no pause, no stillness, no reset. And this continues throughout the entire day. Even when you are not working, you are consuming videos, posts, conversations, thoughts. Your mind is constantly active, constantly engaged, constantly stimulated. And every piece of that stimulation takes energy. Not a lot at once, but enough that over time, it adds up until your mind becomes tired. Not in an obvious way, but in a subtle, persistent way. You begin to, layer by layer. Every time you ignored your need to rest. Every time you forced yourself to keep going. Every time you pushed through without understanding what was happening inside your mind. You added to it. Not in a dramatic way, but in small, almost invisible amounts. And that is what makes it dangerous. Because when something builds slowly, you adapt to it. You normalize it. You begin to believe. This is just how life is. Waking up tired becomes normal. Feeling unmotivated becomes normal. Struggling to focus becomes normal. And when something feels normal, you stop questioning it. You stop looking for the cause. You stop looking for a solution. And instead, you start blaming yourself. You say, I need more discipline. I need to try harder. I need to fix myself. But you are not fixing the root. You are fighting the symptom. And this is where many people get stuck for years. They are trying to solve exhaustion. With effort. Trying to solve overwhelm. With pressure. Trying to solve mental fatigue. With more mental work. And it never works. Because the solution is not to add more. It is to remove what is draining you. To create space again. To allow your mind to breathe. Now think about the last time your mind felt clear. Truly clear. Not distracted. Not overwhelmed. Not pulled in different directions. Just calm. Focused. Present. For many people, that moment is hard to remember. Because their mind has been in a constant state of stimulation. For so long. That stillness feels unfamiliar. Even uncomfortable. When there is no noise. No distraction. No constant input. Your mind doesn't know what to do. So it looks for something. It reaches for your phone. It creates thoughts. It generates worry. Anything. To avoid stillness. But stillness is exactly what you need. Because in stillness, your mind recovers. It resets. It organizes itself. It lets go of the weight it has been carrying. The Stoic mindset teaches something powerful here. You do not need to control everything around you. You need to control what you allow into your mind. Because every input has a cost. Every distraction consumes energy. Every unnecessary thought drains your focus. And if you are not intentional, your energy will always be scattered. And a scattered mind can never be a strong mind. This is why you feel like you can't focus. Not because you lack ability, but because your attention has been divided. Too many times. For too long. Your mind has been trained to switch constantly. From one thing to another. From one thought to another. From one distraction to another. And now, when you ask it to stay still, to focus, to work deeply, it resists. Not because it's weak, but because it has been conditioned to do the opposite. This is something most people don't realize. Your habits shape your mind. Not just your actions, but your ability to think. If you constantly consume fast, short content, your mind adapts to short attention. If you constantly switch between tasks, your mind loses the ability to go deep. If you constantly seek stimulation, your mind forgets how to be still. And over time, this creates a cycle. You feel exhausted. So you seek distraction. That distraction drains you further. So you feel even more exhausted. And the cycle continues. Until one day, you feel stuck. Unable to focus. Unable to act. Unable to move forward. And again, you call it laziness. But now you can see the truth. This is not laziness. This is a system that has been draining you without you realizing it. And the moment you see it clearly, you gain power over it. Because now, you can begin to change it. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But intentionally. You begin by reducing noise. Not eliminating everything. But becoming aware of what is unnecessary. You begin by creating small moments of stillness. Moments where you are not consuming. Not reacting. Not distracting yourself. Just being. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will try to pull you back into distraction. But if you stay with it, something begins to happen. Your thoughts slow down. Your mind becomes clearer. Your energy begins to return. Not instantly, but gradually. And with that clarity comes something powerful: direction. Because when your mind is not overwhelmed, you can finally see things as they are. You can think clearly. You can decide intentionally. You can act without hesitation. And this is where discipline truly begins. Not from force, but from clarity. Because when you are clear, you don't need to push yourself as much. You don't need to fight your mind. Your actions become aligned. And when your actions are aligned, they require less energy, less resistance, less struggle. This is the difference between forcing discipline and building it. One drains you, the other strengthens you. And this is where your transformation happens. Not in one big moment, but in small shifts. Less distraction, more awareness, less noise, more clarity, less pressure, more understanding. And over time, these small changes create a different version of you. Someone who is not constantly overwhelmed. Someone who can focus. Someone who can act without feeling drained before even starting. And most importantly, someone who understands their own mind. Because once you understand your mind, you stop fighting it. You start working with it. And that changes everything. So the next time you feel stuck, pause. Don't rush to judge yourself. Don't immediately say, "I'm lazy." Instead, look deeper. Ask yourself, what is draining me? What is overwhelming me? What do I need to remove so I can think clearly again? Because the answer to those questions will guide you forward, not with pressure, but with clarity. And when you move with clarity, you don't just become more productive, you become more in control, more focused, more resilient. And in a world full of noise, that is rare. If you've made it this far, then you're not someone who lacks discipline. You're someone who is becoming aware. And awareness is where strength begins. So stay on this path. Protect your mind. Guard your attention. And build something most people never develop. A mind that is not easily drained. A mind that can sustain effort. A mind that remains steady, even in a world designed to exhaust it. If this changed how you see yourself, subscribe to Iron Mind. Because here, we don't just chase productivity. We build something deeper. A mind that lasts. A mind that endures. An unshakable mind. An iron mind.